Hola. A lot of talk about Chat GPT lately, and I wanted to show you what I use it for. It is free, but I went ahead and paid the $20 a month because I find it invaluable in helping me create stories and questions for my lessons and even for my tests. So you can see it's chat.openai.com. I sign up with my Google account. Super easy. I wanted to show you some of the things it can do. This particular one, it keeps track over here of what I've asked it to look up. Some of it I'm just playing around. This one, I'm trying to put together a unit for por and para for my Spanish students. So you can see I said write a half-page paper in intermediate Spanish that focuses on por and para. Just to see what it could do, I told it to simplify, and then it started to write it in English. So I said simplify in Spanish, and I'm not sure it did simplify it a lot, but it did simplify it a little bit. Then I clicked stop generating, and I said, please write a paragraph, no please, but AI, write a paragraph using por and para as many times as possible. And it really just gave me a description of what they are, which is okay. I can use that in my lesson plan for my students. What I really wanted was a story. So write a children's story using por and para. And it did. The Hungry Squirrel, una ardilla hambrienta, see? And then just continuing to play with it, in simple English, tell me what the difference is. And then I wanted to have my students practice with using por and para. Our brains are tired at the end of the day, let alone at the end of the week. So I asked it to give me 10 sentences that use the word por, so we could work with them together as a class and kind of decipher them and see why por feels better there instead of para. And it gave me 10 sentences along with the English translation. Then, of course, 10 sentences using para. Again, it gave me 10 along with the English translation. So I have these incorporated now into my lesson plan, and we will just talk about them as a class and practice with them, play around with them. You can see I kept on going. 6 personal questions. I didn't exactly like these, so I narrowed it down to personal questions to ask a teenager. And just some of the other things that I asked it. It wasn't giving me exactly what I wanted, so I just kept going. You just keep asking it until you get what you want. And then the nice thing about it is it does save. You can see it saves that whole list. Not sure if it... So the very first one, this is one of the very first ones I did when I first found out about it. My son was trying to write a paper about the 1980s housing bubble in Japan. So I asked it to write that just because I didn't know anything about it and I wanted to be able to help him or steer him in the right direction. So it wrote a pretty decent paper. It didn't go in depth. It was missing a lot of things that, as a teacher, I would have said, it seems a little shallow, but for an entry level paper to give me an idea of what my son was trying to do, it was great. Then I asked it to write about the Chiquita company. Forgot to say Spanish, so it wrote in English. So these are my other ones. You can see on the side. So it's been really fun. I do consider this a lifesaver. On the dark side, it is accessible to everybody. It is free. And so I see myself very soon not having my students write anything outside of class. I rarely have them do that anyway, because I get back these beautiful papers that I know that they did not write. And this just makes it even easier for them. But you can see here, a lot of times, if they're going to turn in a paper for you and they end with in conclusion, Chat GPT seems to do that a lot, in conclusion, and then just repeats the first paragraph with maybe a few different words. So that's it, Chat GPT in a nutshell. If you have questions, just ask me below or email me. I think you're going to like it. It's not only is it fun just to play around with, but I think it's going to help us as language teachers. Like we're trying to build a test, we're trying to build questions. Like for instance, oh, here's another one. I needed, I'm making my quarterlies for my Spanish 4, I think Spanish 4, and I asked it to write a scary story for mid-level students, so Spanish 3, and include 5 multiple choice questions. I hate writing multiple choice questions. I don't mind writing the questions, but picking out the 3 options and one is right and 2 are wrong, and oh my word, I hate it so bad. Chat GPT did it for me. Here's the story, little scary story. Here's the question with options below, including what the answer is. So this is great. You got to be careful because they've been kind of shallow, right? Shallow questions. So you can play around with it, make it a little more in depth, maybe change the wording a little bit. But at least you're not, or I'm not, just sitting here staring at a blank Word document trying to figure out what story to write and what questions to ask. I love this. I love this. I love Chat GPT so much. And I hope you do too. Adios.